This is Twesa Ngosi with the news. Thanks for joining us. The headline stories this hour. Parliamentary Committee recommends full control of fuel importation deals by government for constant supplies. International relations analysts calls for Malawi to lend inter-party relations tenants from Kenya through President Chakwila's visit. Labour Ministry hopes for certification of informal skilled labour force to drive industrialization for economic growth. And in sports, Malawi national team drops 5 steps on FIFA World Rankings from position 115 to 120. Please stay with us for details of this and more. Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has recommended that government should take full control on fuel importation deals, suggesting that only 10% of fuel imports be given to the private sector. Committee Chairperson Welani Chilenga made the suggestion when officials from the Malawi Regulatory Authority MERA and National Oil Company of Malawi NOCMA appeared before the committee. Chilenga says this is one way to do away with challenges of importation of fuel as witnessed through the recent impasse between MERA and NOCMA. This is what Chilenga told us.
No, it's not a directive. It's a recommendation from the committee, and it's not the first time that we are making that recommendation. We made a similar recommendation in a report that was adopted by the whole House. So we are just emphasizing that they should implement the recommendation. You are aware of what has been happening. If fuel is controlled by private operators, a lot of things happen. You may wish to remember what happened in the past. At one time we had Cyclone Idai. PIL reduced their volumes. It was NOCMA which saved this country from landing into in a disaster. There was also another time when PIL also reduced their volumes. It was NOCMA which rescued this country. So it is indeed a strategic commodity, and the government needs to take control of it and not leave it in the hands of the operators. Hence, we are still recommending that NOCMA should import 90% of fuel into this country, and the private operators, let them share the 10%.
Deputy Chief Executive Officer for NOCMA, Helen Buluma, told the committee that stakeholders in the energy sector will do a thorough scrutiny on the proposal.
As I indicated when I spoke before the committee, that NOCMA is currently adding its capacity in terms of fuel storage reserves, and therefore this is possible. And that we are also not going to do this alone. If it happens, it means that the regulator, which is MERA, the Ministry of Energy, and NOCMA and other stakeholders need to sit and look at how the framework to implement this will be. We believe that we've already made some progress, and by doing research and also visiting some countries to understand how they import. And most of the countries within Southern Africa and even in East Africa, they use what they call the bulk procurement system, where it is government that procures through one entity, and then everyone else who's requiring supplies will actually go and buy or at least collect the supplies from the national entity. In this case, I think that model might work for NOCMA because NOCMA is wholly owned by government. So it is a proposal that we are welcoming, and I think it is a challenge to us to work and ensure that we have the right capacity within the period that we've been given to report back to the committee in terms of what kind of framework we'll put in place in the next 6 months.
An international relations analyst says inter-party relations is a key facet that Malawi needs to learn from Kenya, besides trade benefits, as the country President Lazarus Chakwera is in the East African country on a state visit. Analyzing a speech President Chakwera presented on Wednesday in Kenya, which centered on relations between the two countries, Alex Major observes that Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga live in harmony, an aspect which has been lacking in Malawi for years. Governance expert Victor Chipofia is of the view that the United Africa stands to make an impact together with the spirit of Africanism. We have this report by Western Guta.
An international relations expert, Alex Major, says a cordial relationship between Malawi and Kenya is of more benefit to both countries, but Malawi stands to get more by emulating inter-party relations, which is displayed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. He adds that it is also beneficial for the two countries as Malawi exports farm produce while importing raw materials from there for the manufacturing industry.
Kenya should be a strategic country in terms of trade partnerships. Kenya is close to South Sudan, all these other countries. So Malawi tend to benefit in terms of trade, but politically also Malawi need to benefit from Kenya in terms of rich political history.
Meanwhile, governance expert Victor Chipofia says while emulating Kenyan politics and tourism, there is need for taking advantage of the relations to also export other services like sending medical doctors to the eastern country.
From the top of my head, I would look at Kenya to be our neighboring country, so it would be easier with the issues of trade. If there's some goods that are supposed to be transported from here to Kenya or from Kenya to here, the distance would be shorter. Because we've also seen the president visit Tanzania.
President Lazarus Chakwera is on a trip to 3 countries, and in Kenya, he stressed on the need for the 2 countries to strengthen ties which the first presidents of the 2 republics shared. According to the president's Facebook page, the 2 countries have signed 8 instruments premised on health, tourism, diplomatic training, political and diplomatic consultations, defense, cooperatives, trade, fisheries and aquaculture. For Zodiac, I am Western Guta.
Southern Africa AIDS Trust SAD says there is need to disseminate accurate information about the use of vaginal ring in prevention of HIV among women as the country awaits the approval of government on its usage. Speaking during a media engagement in Lilongwe, SAD Country Program Officer Novice Bamusi emphasized that the product can assist women at higher risk of contracting HIV have more prevention choices. We have more in this report by Winston Gaimila.
In January this year, the World Health Organization recommended the use of dapivirine vaginal ring for women at high risk of HIV infection. The European Medicines Agency, EMA, followed suit in July, while the International Partnerships for Microbicides had presented requests to African national regulatory authorities for their decisions. In Malawi, this was submitted to government through the Pharmacies and Medicines Regulatory Authority in February, according to the Southern African AIDS Trust SAD Country Program Officer Novice Bamusi. During a media engagement held in Lilongwe, Bamusi emphasized that people in the country need to access accurate information about the product.
We realize the role the media has on issues of health. As you remember, we were talking about the dapivirine ring, and this is a product which can help women, if it gets onto the market, to protect themselves from contracting HIV.
The University of North Carolina conducted a clinical trial on the use of the vaginal ring at the national level. A researcher working with the university, Changani Tembo, says results of the trial showed that the ring has significant efficacy.
Most of our women really do not have the power to protect themselves against HIV. They cannot negotiate for safe sex, and because of this, coupled with other physiological issues like the nature, the way the women are, the issue of poverty, we find out that the risk of HIV is very high in sub-Saharan Africa, including Malawi.
The product reduces HIV infection among women by 35%.
The public sector reform has challenged local councils in the country to come up with viable innovations in order to improve delivery of services to the rural masses. The reforms director Sibusiso Jere told journalists in Blantyre on Thursday that availability of such innovations at local level is a catalyst to achieve sustainable socio-economic development. As Christopher Sander reports, Mulanje District Council is intending to implement a Mulanje Mountain cable car project which will be ferrying people from the bottom to the top of the mountain, an innovation which others say will promote tourism.
Officials from various district councils are meeting in Blantyre where they are being drilled on a public sector innovation initiative. Director of Public Sector Reform, Sibusiso Jere, hopes this will encourage local authorities to come up with innovations that will eventually assist delivery of quality services to the people. He gave an example of Blantyre City Council, Mulanje, Mwanza and Balaka district councils, saying these councils have introduced better ways of enhancing public service. He believes such initiatives will assist the country to achieve the 2063 agenda.
Basically, this project is aimed at enhancing innovations in the public service. There are several innovations taking place in the public service, but they are not shared among public service as well as replicated on the ground.
Director of Planning and Development at Mulanje District Council, Ernest Kapuka, says his council is intending to implement a Mulanje Mountain cable car project that will be ferrying people from the bottom to the top of the mountain, hence promoting tourism.
Expectation is that by the end of 4 years, this cable car should be operational. Mind you, it is going to be the second one in Africa, apart from Table Mountain in South Africa.
The Public Sector Innovation Initiative is largely supported by UNDP. Reporting for Zodiac from Blantyre, this is Christopher Sunday.
Health experts have urged people in the country to uphold hygiene practices used for prevention of COVID-19 to contain cholera disease this coming rainy season. Dr. Gama Bandawi and Patson Guluwe say adherence to set COVID-19 preventive measures could also help prevent cholera outbreak. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health says this year they will administer cholera vaccine in cholera hotspot districts following expiry of the vaccine they gave 5 years ago to fight the disease. Former Cabinet Minister and DPP Regional Governor for the South, Charles Mchacha, claims his attack by unknown people Wednesday night was a preconceived plan by government to assassinate him. Speaking from his hospital bed at Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital this morning, Mchacha says the attackers questioned why he's always fighting against government. But Southwest Regional Police spokesperson Ramzem Shani says they're investigating the attack. Alex Banda reports.
Charles Mchacha claims his attack on Wednesday night was perpetrated by government operatives. Mchacha, who is nursing deep cuts to the head and other parts of the body, says 2 cars had blocked his vehicle and 15 people disembarked from them before the attack.
I saw a car coming in front of my vehicle and they closed the road, and the other car came and broke me at the back. And at the same time, I saw people coming out from the vehicles and smashed my car. And then I turned my car from the main road to take a small path where we started fighting. I was near to die because they said, "No, can you pray to God? You are rushed to prayer because we are finishing here today." And on their conversation, they said that, "No, you are not respecting this government, you are not respecting the president, you do this and that." So many things.
On Thursday, some top DPP officials visited Mchacha at the hospital. One of them, DPP spokesperson Shadrack Namalomba, says he does not want to believe the narration but regrets the ordeal on one of its members.
It is very sad. If we say that if we are going to believe, and we don't want to believe as Democratic Progressive Party, that this attack has been perpetrated by the Tose government, the MCP government, or the president himself, we don't want to believe that. But if it is true, then it is a sad day in the democracy of this country. This must be stopped. This must not be entertained. Everyone in this country who loves peace, who loves democracy, must say no to this barbaric behavior that has been shown today.
Southwest Regional Police spokesperson Ramzem Shani told us police are investigating to establish what happened.
We are investigating into an allegation which he came to complain to police like any other person that he was attacked by unknown people. And this is what the police is investigating so as to establish who are the people behind his attack.
For Zodiac in Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
You're watching the news here on Zodiac. We'll be back with more.
one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Welcome back. A look at the headlines as we proceed. Parliamentary Committee recommends full control of fuel importation deals by government for constant supplies. International relations analyst calls for Malawi to lend inter-party relations tenants from Kenya through President Chakweira's visit. Labour Ministry hopes for certification of informal skilled labour force to drive industrialization for economic growth. And Malawi national football team drops 5 steps on FIFA World Rankings from position 115 to 120. Moving on with the news, the Ministry of Labour says certification of informal skilled labour force can assist in driving industrialization and economic growth facing hiccups in the country. Speaking after launching recognition of prior learning RPL initiative in Blantyre, Deputy Minister of Labour Vera Kantukule pleaded with stakeholders to work with speed to ensure that majority of underprivileged rural youth have access to formal training. Christopher Sande caught up with Kantukule.
What we have noted is that 89% of the people that are in the sector do have the skills, but they don't have the formal recognition. They don't have any other certificate of sorts. If you can recall that, if you see that people that are constructing houses in the communities, if you ask them, they do not have any certificate, but they're doing a very good job. So what we are doing now is to ensure that we are formalizing the informal sector as far as skills are concerned. So today is a very, very good day, because what we have had for a very long time is a backlog of demand, people wanting to come to our technical colleges, but they are unable to do so because they don't meet the required minimum requirements. But with this program, anybody that has never even been to school can get the certification as long as they have the skills and they meet the set criteria that we have put as a government. So this is a very exciting day for us. For a very long time, there's been a mismatch between what the industries are demanding and what we are producing in our technical colleges. So what we are doing now is to reverse that, where we are listening more to our employers, what they want and what they need, but also looking to government programs and government needs. So as you may be aware, we launched the vision, Malawi Vision 2063. Human development is one of the enablers in that vision.
Elwin Sichiwola is TVET Acting Executive Director.
RPL is a major development in the TVET sector, largely on 2 fronts. You heard during the function, one, it will help us to formalize a large number of informal skilled people who, due to several circumstances, were not able to get certificates. Through this process, we'll be able to give them a certificate which they can use whenever they're looking for employment. Secondly, as TVETA will be coming in to ensure that despite this being an alternative to the formal technical education that people get, the standards are still the same, so that the certificate that one gets through this process is just as good as the one they would have gotten had they gone into a formal technical college. RPL is going to help us in enhancing access. As you know, the number of colleges that we have in the country, both as national colleges or community technical colleges, are still not enough if you look at the demands that are there. So what RPL is doing is to help us also give opportunities to people who might not have gotten access through the other alternatives, to enable them also get the certificates and get the skills, in the end be able to get employment, but also stand on their own.
Dairy farmers and traditional leaders in Cholo have challenged government to revise milk prices, as currently they are selling the commodity at a giveaway price. T. Ndalama and other chiefs have labelled the current price between 200 and 250 kwacha per litre a mockery to the farmers. These people are also demanding better road access to the area. Alex Banda reports.
Traditional leaders in the district, including Tia and Dalama, have labelled the current milk prices setting at 200 or 250 kwacha per litre a mockery to the farmers. Anne Benjamin, a dairy farmer from Namiwa village here in Cholo, is challenging government to revise the milk prices as currently these are giveaway. Minister of Agriculture, Robin Lowe, who went on a tour on projects under Haifa International, said government will soon be establishing a national milk marketing board to regulate the dairy prices.
In terms of prices, you may wish to appreciate that my ministry is preparing something in terms of National Milk Marketing Board, which is at Ministry of Justice. Very soon it will be in my ministry. After conclusion, the industry will be regulated. So that way we are doing something to make sure that the industry is well regulated and it will be well organized.
A national director of Malawi Milk Producers Association, Herbert Jagona, says the move is welcome. The visit in Cholo was part of a tour by Haifa International Senior Vice President for Africa, Adesuwa Ifedi, who is in the country to appreciate efforts by the expert livestock rearing organization.
I mean, I was inspired by one of the women today who said that I had a dream to have animals. I have them. I had a dream to build a house. I have built it. You know, and another woman that said I have put my children through school. One other woman said I was able to now buy a bicycle and now I have an extended business. I think the power goes beyond just running the business as agriculture.
For Zodiak and Blanta, this is Alex Banda.
Inspector General for the Malawi Police Service, George Kainja, has asked Parliament to lobby for the relocation of Zodiak refugee camp, arguing the current site is hindering law enforcers from dealing with illegal migrants. The call was made during a performance audit which was done by the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament on Wednesday, and Vice Chairperson of the committee, Ned Poyer, pledged to look into the matter with seriousness. The meeting was focusing on efforts by the police service to reduce crime and illegal migration. Alina Femlamba has filed this report.
On Wednesday, Malawi Police Service appeared before Public Accounts Committee of Parliament for a performance audit. During the meeting, it transpired that operations by the service are being crippled due to poor financing and inadequate structures, which is demotivating officers. Inspector General Dr. George Kainja further told the committee that efforts by the law enforcers to stop illegal migrants are being affected due to the geographical location of Zodiak refugee camp. Kainja therefore asked the committee to probe the issue surrounding the relocation of the asylum facility. PAC Vice Chairperson Ned Poyer said the committee will look into the concerns.
There are a lot of factors that have to be taken on board. The issue of financing, the issue of funding. The police is limited because they don't determine on the issue of how much do we get. Another office determines that. It's an issue that has to be tackled broadly. Looking into the Ministry of Finance on how we finance the police. For us to be satisfied, we have to touch all angles.
About 50,000 refugees and asylum seekers reside in Zodiak refugee camp, according to UNHCR.
We now go to sports. Malawi national football team, the Flames, have dropped 5 steps on the latest Coca-Cola FIFA World Rankings released today by FIFA. The Flames are now on 120 in the world from 115 they heard in September rankings. Reacting to the development, Flames coach Mek Mase has attributed the downward movement on the rankings to 2 back-to-back defeats against Ivory Coast in World Cup qualifiers, saying he is disappointed as a coach. Mase speaks with Bright Ganyama.
I think it's not the good news to us. These are maybe because of the 2 games that we played against Ivory Coast. But we still believe that we did better. The team that we played is a strong team, but it's a welcome indeed news.
Is this some sort of a concern to you as a coach, considering the fact that there is a lot of expectation from Malawians now that the team has qualified for AFCON?
for sure it's not a demotivation. We're still going to work very hard. We know we're going to encourage our players to still go and work very hard. We still have got 2 games in the World Cup to play, and then we're going for the AFCON finals in January. So, yes, we continue to work very hard. Always we've been telling the players to work hard, as always we say. For somebody to achieve better things, he has to work very hard. So this is what we're going to encourage our players, to tell our players that we should continue working hard. I still believe we did very well, although we lost those 2 games. Those are a very big team and very experienced players. But as we going forward, of course, we will work very hard.
And that's about what we had time for in this edition of the news. But before we go and look at the headlines. Parliamentary Committee recommends full control of fuel importation dues by government for constant supplies. International relations analyst calls on Malawi to lend inter-party relations tenants from Kenya through President Chakwera's visit. Labour Ministry hopes for certification of informal skilled labour force to drive industrialization for economic growth. And in sports, Malawi national football team drops 5 steps on FIFA World Rankings. Visit our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. My name is Twesa Ngosi. From the rest of the news crew, it's thanks for watching and bye for now.
Kodi mumawakonda bwanji anakubala anu? Nanga mwachitira chiyani munyengo ino yana kubala?